everybody. This is Saline County Hardliners back at you again. And I hope all of you are out voting because early voting started a couple of days ago. This is the third day, I believe, and we're having some record turnouts in Saline County, which were not really expected. It could be in our county is a lot of voting because there's kind of a controversial sheriff's election with several candidates that's kind of people really interested in. But when that happens, they vote on everything, which is a good thing. So we've been having candidates on the last 3 or 4 weeks, and we don't have a candidate tonight. But in light of the problems in with the Middle East and Iran right now, the immediate problems that could affect us before we even have another show. But we got a guest on tonight that's a naturalized American naturalized citizen from Iran, and she used to be moved out of our county, but she used to be a pretty active role in the conservative Republican Party, the conservatives here in Saline County, and she may be taking up the mantle up there. I believe it's Franklin County, which is real. But anyway, we Sara Pappard, who's she was really active here in Saline County, but she knows she can. We're going to talk about the real Iran, the real Muslim Islamic religion, and what they have in store for America, really. And I don't mean the people necessarily. I'm talking about the government and the terrorists that run this, that are ran through the Islamic religion and culture, and just how troublesome we are in. And a lot of people, I know a lot of people that don't know anything. They think they know. They hear what they hear on the news, but they don't understand, And we got in some trouble. We talked about Islam not too long ago. We got a little bit of trouble because they said we were hate speeching. But you know what? We're going to be real tonight. This is going to be from somebody who grew up in Iran and knows knows politics of it. So, Sara, how you doing tonight? Good to see you again.
Fine. Thank you. Thank you for introducing me. I really appreciate it for having me.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I will answer your question.
How did you? Okay, first off, how long did you live in Iran, and how long have you been here in America?
So I live,
Without
I
telling
grow
your age.
Yeah, that's tricky part. I was born in Iran in Shiraz, a city towards like I would say west south of Iran,
Mm-hmm.
and I lived till I was age 27, 28. Then I kind of was going between Kuwait and Iran. I was working there. Then I moved to United States. And the last time I was in my country was about 10 years ago.
And you still have family there?
Yes, my immediate family, my extended family, they're all there, and I'm in touch with them. And so basically, I was born right after the revolution and during war between Iran and Iraq. When I
Mm-hmm.
was first grade, Khomeini he signed the peace treaty, but I mean, my city was bombarded periodically because we had an oil refinery in there, and
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
You've lived
very
through the war.
gloomy, I would say, childhood I had. Most Iranian my age, we're like in 1980s. We had very gloomy childhood, full of love, but everybody was just so, especially the parents, like the older generation, they were so busy just surviving everyday life, living through the war and all the changes that was happening after the revolution and the Islamic Republic of Iran taking over and changing all the rules and regulations, basically.
Well, what in your feeling, or how you feel about it? Do you think that what do you think? I'm not going to say just Iran, but the terrorist operations that are through the Islamic faith and culture. What do you think they have in store for America? I mean, a lot of people think, well, it's not our problem. It's way over there. It's not affecting us. But can you tell some of the changes that's happened since you've been here with Islam coming to America? And by the way, she is a converted to Christianity. You're a Christian now. You grew up Muslim, but you are Christian. So You know what I'm saying? It's kind of about how what do you think they're up to here?
I mean, I'm wondering with a lot of people, Islam is a to me is not even a religion. It's a successful cult that take over land and conquer, and it's been conquering since the beginning. Muhammad died, and they took over the Persian Empire and Roman Empire, and those kind of golden age of Islam happened because they were taking over the remnants of the strong empires. And after 1400 years, now you're dealing with the Middle East that's so dysfunction. And if it wasn't for crusade fighters, now like Europe will be, kind of the same, which that also instigates some of the uh, kind of illegal immigration towards European countries because they um, in the religion of Islam they never conquered those lands. So Islam has two faces. If you haven't read the book, it looks very promising. It's like a communist agenda. It comes with like very swift and fluffy kind of ideology that you can practice, whatever you want. God's love you. And those are the surahs that Muhammad, he wasn't in charge still. He didn't conquer Mecca. And he was telling like, oh, God's tell me this and that. And mostly when they want to convert people overseas, they will go over those surahs that, oh yeah, Islam is a religion of peace. And the guy that he was saying call of the prayers for Muhammad, he was black. Islam never did anything to do with slavery, but which is, when you dig through, it's all lies. And then when you go to the surahs that Muhammad was in charge and he conquered Mecca and then Medina, God faces change. He become like a warlord, and he wants to conquer. He wants to kill the enemy. He wants to replace them. The women are become subjugated. The children, will be a slave. And if you're not complying with the rules, you have to pay taxes, and also, you will be basically replaced. It's like a replacement or genocide, which is I mean, if for men at that time, or even here, I mean, like these days, if you see ISIS or other groups that they swiftly pass through all these places and they kill people, that's three things that would kind of like motivate them. They get money, they get to kill, use, their forces, and then they conquer women, basically. And then this never changed. It never changed, but it worked now within the democratic kind of radical democrat ideology because it has a lot of alignments with communist agenda. They go after the common culture. They don't like um, they kind of play victimized. They say they're minorities. They want to practice their religion. They're not agree with borders. And but both ideology, they always go after prosperous societies, and the people that they start going against them, they will use the labels, like Islamophobia, or you're like racist, which is not true. And I think we are to the point that I don't even care about those labels. Yeah, I mean, if you have a phobia, it's going to save your life, and Islam is dangerous, because if you have a radical Muslim neighbor can blow you up or kill you with a knife or gun, but if you have a Jewish or Christian neighbors, they're never going to do that. They're never going to get radicalized to the point that they want to kill for their God, and that's the only religion that kind of like encourage people to do that.
And they do love to bring up the Crusades, saying that that was an aggressive European, and America is basically, I mean, the majority is a European-based population migrated to North America. But
Yeah.
so I, I get the feeling from I've been over there. Kevin's been over there. Kevin's in Afghanistan, and it's all about the same. It's all the same thinking, and to them, there's no room for Christianity. Whereas I think Americans too would say, well, Christians are just as bad. Well, some Christians are. You know, there's Ku Klux Klan that claim they're Christians, but we do call them down as being false. And whereas, you know, Islam's not called down at all. And so,
Yeah.
you know,
I mean,
people
you
just
cannot even
constantly.
compare it because you see, like, you have to always read the book, and then the reference books always tell you where you navigate yourself. So Islam is a book that, I mean, Muhammad got rejected by the Jews, and then he changed, you know, his prayer direction from what do we call it, like Saline to Mecca, you know. And if you read Quran, to be honest with you, it's like a news letter about Muhammad. It doesn't have the beginning, it doesn't have the end, and it's very violent, you know, and vivid, and then also it scares you. And then since Muhammad didn't have a father, and then he didn't grow up in a proper family structure, he had sugar mommy, which was Khadija, kind of like funding his endeavor. He used to act, I think he was like a very I see him as like a charlatan businessman, because he used to trade with a lot of Jews and also Christians, and he brought all of like folklore Christian story to even Quran. You know, like Ashab Kahf. It's a like on its own. It's talk about like these six people. They went to the cave, and then they slept for 300 years. They came back, and they couldn't even buy anything with the coins that they had, which was a Christian folklore, that story. And a lot of also, I mean, some people, they argue because it's Abraham religion, you know, like Islam and Jewish religion and Christianity, but a lot of punishment and rules and regulation that Islam has, especially towards like stoning to death and all, like what to eat, what not to eat, what is clean and what's not clean, is actually copycat from Jewish people. And
And the old
so
Arabic, the old Egyptian Arabic, just back then, I guess, you know.
oh,
But
I mean, it's the Arabic. That's what they kind of like argue. They said this is the way that the Quran was written. It was in a language that was very romantic and very special, which is just like old Arabic. It's like, I mean, I'm talking about like old. I mean, when you read Old Testament, the language is so different from like now with a, you know, like a New Testament when you translate it. But the problem, as I said, with Islam, the book calls for violence, calls for discrimination, calls for killing. And it's a backward religion. If you follow it, um, it's a religion that you never have relief, because it's a man-made. You have to always give to God, and God is much more higher than anyone else. And Muhammad, he's the only one that is a middleman to talk to him. And you can never win. You can never fully be saved, you know. And Muhammad was saint, basically. He never committed a crime with all the stuff that he did. Like he slept with a 9-year-old girl. And so in that religion, you always feel guilty. You always feel behind. As a female, you never appreciate it, you know, to the fully extent, because again, they have the same view of the Orthodox Jewish. Because as a female, if you if you're on your period, you're not clean. You cannot even walk to a mosque. You know, you cannot pray. You cannot fast. And then you kind of get identity after you get married, and then the age of consent is like 9 years old for female, 15 years old for boys, you know. So they have all these kind of rules and regulations, but from the beginning, uh, you always, I mean, I grew up with most of I mean, my generation, we grew up in a very religious family. Most of our families, they were religious. And you always grow up like asking yourself, like, why God is so snobbish? Why cannot have a good relationship with the God, you know?
well, yeah, and That's another funny thing is about Democrats and liberals in America supporting Palestine so heavily. And I'm going to say Palestine because it all stems from the same. If I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong. It's all from the same origin. You know, they're all together. So, but anyway, they support all this stuff, and but then again, they'll turn around and they'll talk about women's rights, transgender rights, gay rights, and I don't know if they realize it, but if they were to come in and take us over, say they took all of our governments over, or what, however it was to happen, that stuff would stop. They'd die if
They would be the first ones.
they'd be the first ones to go, and they don't
Yeah, we
care
see it
whether
in
they took up
Mamdani.
for them. They don't. They think, well, if we're nice to them, they'll like us. That's not the way they think. They understand strength. They don't understand weakness. They take advantage of weakness. Right? I mean, that's their key is to, you know, pat you on the back, stab you in the back, same time. You know.
I
And
really love all these feminists who are out there wearing the burqas and all that.
That's what I was so. We were like laughing as an Iranian because we were like, the Mamdani situation in New York was exactly like the beginning of the after the revolution in Iran because Khomeini came to power and he promised people free housing, free utility, and then the main thing that he also argued it was salvation for Iranian people. It says like you will be Muslim and you will be forgiven by God if you have a Muslim or Islamic kind of like a government, and people voted for him. But you will see like with Mamdani again, like he promised free stuff because he's Islamic communist, and also I made a video about it. I said, how can you be a feminist and all the female in America, they tried so hard. They fought so hard for their voice to be heard and to, break the grass, the glass, they call it, like the glass shield, and to be, equal with the men and then on the pay and everything. And then you choose a Muslim guy that you haven't even, in none of his campaign you saw his wife. He never talked about his wife because she is not important in his life. They don't treat their family, especially their wife, as a Christian or like Western family structure. And then secondly, you giving a guy power that he will never listen to you, unless you're in part of his radical group. He would shut you down as a female.
Do you think New York's in trouble?
Definitely, and that was a big win, and a lot of Muslims they celebrated because they conquer a land without shedding any blood.
They've already took London, haven't they?
Yeah, London is gone.
A lot of Europe, they've already got their foothold so strongly.
Yes,
because I heard this somewhere.
It's very, very normal in this kind of society.
Once they get a foothold, you have to fight your way out. You're not going to vote your way out. You're going to have to fight your way out because, I mean, and they're after Texas right now, and you know that. You've read some of that stuff going on there. And, I'm just, like I said, we got in trouble for talking about this, didn't we, Kevin? But they kind of
we did
shut us down because we were being cruel and being this and that, but we were just trying to tell it like this. Okay, I'm gonna try to be a little nicer about it, but here we got you on here that is you have seen it, and so many people here don't have a clue. I mean, they just don't know. And I don't understand. I really don't understand people who have been over there militarily or whatever that still drink the Kool-Aid. I don't understand that at all. But I think there's more to it than that. It's money being
because they haven't seen the real true face of Islam, Yeah. And Islam is very I would say generous towards men, because I mean, as a man, if you the companionship within the Islamic kind of group, even in America, you go to the mosque, everybody greets each other, they look so you know, kind of like they're all peaceful, they're all to the point that they have to defend and conquer. And that's why they're preaching every single Friday or Saturday in mosque. They're preaching. I went to the mosque in New Jersey and I was surprised that, you know, I came from Kuwait and I was not expecting this. Like, this is like more than 10 years ago. And the imam was preaching that to America in a building that it was Masonic building. They turned it to a mosque.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is crazy. And they didn't even let my husband to come in because he's American. And then they said he's not clean, which he actually converted to Islam just to marry me. And then after they realized that, they let him, but they said, no, you cannot come in. And I was like, and I told the guy, I was like, do you know his ancestor built this land? They brought this all these things to you, and you come here and you tell him you cannot walk into a building that is mosque? And he said, yeah, no, he's not clean. I'm like, yeah, he's clean. And
Clean, huh?
so they're actually the one that's very discriminative, and they're very racist.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially towards white people. And Islam is the most, I mean, if you want to really to feel the real true racism, you have to live in a Muslim country, because they pay you by color of your passport. If you go to Dubai, or like if the people that they lived overseas or Qatar, they know they have to follow the strict rules, especially during Ramadan. You cannot drink, you cannot walk around smoking cigarettes, you have to be really respectful to the religion. And then they come here and they make a mockery of your religion and your culture. They said, no, it's not the true religion, because it's Christianity, and Christianity is not.
Is violent. They say Christianity is violent, and there's no room for it in the world, you know. And I've heard people say before, I don't know who they were, but they're on like radio talk shows. They were Iranian, or not necessarily Iranian, could have been Iraqi. I don't know what country they were from, but they would come on there, you know, on a talk show, and they were from there, like you. They live here now, but they're from there, and they would say, you know, hey, you know, there's a playbook on this. This is nothing new. There's a playbook that they will take us. It's because they have patience. They do have patience, and they're slow to, you know, you'll say, well, they're here, they're not doing anything. Well, they gather up before they ever get, you know, they're very smart, very, very intelligent, very,
they're not majority.
Cunning and everything, you know.
Because the whole religion is based on taqiyya. I mean, if you guys heard it, taqiyya law. So you can always, it's permissible that you lie to your enemy.
Is that Sharia law? Is that the same thing?
It's taqiyya as part of Sharia law, yeah. So you can lie to your enemy.
Yeah, I want you to hit on Sharia law. I want you to tell people that, I tell you what, I have to hold my temper, because they don't know what they're talking about when they say, okay, Sharia law is a peaceful, there's nothing wrong with Sharia law. It's fine and it's good. Tell me what Sharia law consists of, really. If you, okay, let's say you had say Chicago became where Sharia law was legal, which Sharia law is against the U.S. Constitution. Period. You cannot have it. It's nothing constitutional about it. So, say Chicago became totally controlled, like it was a maybe it was a black flag city. I don't know, but you know, and what would that consist of? I mean, in honor killings, is that still a thing? I mean,
so the Sharia law will be basically the Islamic pillars, you know, like the 3 pillars of Islam needs to be basically established, which is the banking system, you know, and then it would be based on everybody needs to obey the law, otherwise they have to pay taxes, you know, and so basically you're ruling a mini Islamic country, okay, which would be so you have to have 5 times calls for prayers.
No Christian going on.
You can live as a Christian, but you cannot basically promote your religion. Especially at the beginning, it might be like a little bit left like loosey goosey, but if it's full-fledged, you're gonna have like what it is in Saudi Arabia, or even in Kuwait. When I lived, there was a building I didn't know for many years it was a church, because they wouldn't even let them to have a cross on top of it. So you're not supposed to do anything,
Well,
with
they told
Christianity.
us when I was in the Middle East and you were not in uniform, which you normally weren't in uniform in the public because of problems, and they put
You
here and
get
there and
targeted.
didn't want to group people together, nothing. But anyway, they said, no, nothing. You don't wear anything that's Christianity or religious of any kind. You don't even wear bright hornets, or you don't wear anything that's shows some kind of club. Okay, all right. So none of you guys can do that. So nobody does it, and you don't mention anything about Christianity. You just stay off that subject. But by God, what you pissed me off is they come over here and do what the hell they want to do, because we're a free country. Okay, I understand that. But you know what? Here we were, they're basically protecting where we were, and they're going to dictate all these things. My idea was at the time was, why don't we just get the hell out of there and let them have it, And I still feel that way sometimes, because we've fought so many wars over there that weren't fought correctly. And I mean that, and I'm going to say that, is that the Bushes,
Yeah.
Biden, look what he did in Afghanistan. Obama, Clinton, they go in there and pussyfoot around. Yeah, they bomb the hell out of them, just like say this weekend. They bomb the hell out of them, which is probably going to happen. If there's but there's the follow up is very weak, and then
there
and
was
they
no
know
total defeat. That's the problem.
Right, and they keep backpedaling, but people say, well, nobody wants to see what it's going to take. Okay, look at October 7th of 2022, what they did in the Gaza. I don't know if people realize what they did. I've heard and seen what they've done, what they did to people,
To the
babies,
Jewish people,
children.
yeah, in that
It was
festival.
a horrid. I don't know how anybody can say go Palestine when they did that. I mean, there were animals. There were animals that were in there. It's like setting a pack of wolves on these people. They have no, I mean, stacking babies up so they can count them, how many they got. I mean, we don't know that cruelty. People here that have never been out of this country have no clue what is going on, what this means.
I think the good things with Mamdani election, there's been a lot of attention to the Islam and Islamification of America and Europe, and a lot of people getting that kind of alarmed, which is a good thing, because there's been a lot of talk about it. But the thing is that Islam, as I said, it's like a brainwashing religion. Like if you see ISIS or those people like Hamas, which nobody has problem with the state of Palestine to be Palestine, but the problem is that it's running by a full-fledged terrorist foundation, So these people eat, breathe, and just to keep Hamas going. And unfortunately, my country it's been like 48 years, 47 years, piggy bank for all these endovers and terrorist attacks. That's why we want actually all of these to finish, and we called for our king Reza Pahlavi, the exiled king, to come back to Iran, because before that, Islam it's a meek sheep under I would say secular regime, because its hands and its feet is always cut off. It's regulated. That's why it worked during Saddam. That's why it worked through Bashar Assad. That's why it worked in even Libya through Gaddafi, and it worked under the governance of our king, like Reza Shah Pahlavi. But when it's out and full-fledged running as Islamic State, you will get all these disastrous situation, because again, you have imams and you have mullahs and you have these people that they call upon, and they take it from the book and the religion. It always wants to conquer non-Muslim land, and that's why they go after the Kurdish people. That's why they go after Jewish people and Christian people, and now you see a lot of conflict between Palestine and Israelite, because the Christian now they're a minority. The Christians, that's what people they need to realize, that the Christians are buffer zone between Muslims, radical Muslim, and I would say radical Judaism. And when the Christians are a minority, which is now in Syria, which is now in Egypt, and now we have it in Lebanon, you see huge conflict, because these two polarized religion, they will start fighting against each other, and they don't appreciate anything about each other. But again, I would say for Iran, as an Iranian, that I'm pro Israel, and a lot of people that they live overseas and even in Iran now, they pro-Israel. They send a lot of thanks to Benjamin Netanyahu, even in social media from Iran, and they ask him to please come and help us, And we have also like ancient interaction with the Jewish tribe, through Cyrus the Great. And Iran used to have a lot of Jewish people living in Iran. They had their own, we call it kanise, which is, their synagogue. And they still some left in Iran. But the thing is that I want to say Islam is going to be always common enemy for Christians and the Jewish people, because Christianity wants to conquer your heart. Jewish people, is very hard to really convert to Judaism, unless you were born Jews, and they're not. They just have their own rules and regulation. But Muslims, they always wants to convert people to make them obey the rules and regulation and the laws that they have.
I almost think of it as kind of like a cult.
It is called. It is a satanic cult, because because you sacrifice humans, and you kill them, and it's so childish to believe that you're gonna get like 72, virgins in heaven, and then the rivers are made of honey, and then like wine. Again, like this is the childish kind of imitation of Muhammad and what he was doing. I think he was possessed, honestly, or he had schizophrenia, if you want to psychoanalyze him, that he saw heaven to be made of those things, and you can do such act, like just human act, which is in Christianity, when you die, you go to heaven if you are good and you believe in Jesus Christ, and there is nothing there is no what we call you will be with the God, with the Creator. There is no ranking. There is no you're going to be like in a turmoil or stuff like that. It's totally different. And that's why, I mean, even if when I grew up as a child, I was always wondering. That was big questions, why, like people in America or Europe, that they have all this freedom. They're just so self-controlled. They don't get crazy. They don't get like naked, in the public. They don't do this. They don't do that, because you always as a child, you hear no, everything is forbidden. And then now I realize that, because it's a religion that, it's not even religion. I would say some people, they want to see Christianity as a religion. If you want to see a religion, it would be like Catholic. But it's a safe, self-regulating, and true connection with God. If you believe there's the God, and it will save, it's your savior, and you come to this earth with a purpose, to serve Him and to be part of His nation, and be a true human, to show your true humanity. That would be Christianity, because otherwise God should be so idiot, to be honest with you, that would bring like Abraham, and then like a Jewish. He talks to Jewish people. He protects them. Then he will come and talk and then bring Christ, like Jesus Christ, to the earth, and he will teach all these teaching that was even like against the Jewish, because they wanted to be like by the book, by their laws. and then he will liberate them from all those kind of like nonsense laws and regulation to become more close to the God. And then after that we'll bring Muhammad, a guy that is like 180 totally different. Like he wants to sleep with 4 women and then 40 concubines. He doesn't have any limitation in killing people, conquering. A God that says, if enemy slaps you, show the other side of your face. Will tell you, no, you have to behead and hate the Jewish and Christians. So this is not God, and this is not a religion of God. This is a man-made religion.
How do they get people to, you might know the answer to this. How do they get these people to be suicide bombers? Money? Do they pay in their families, or
No,
what
it's
causes
to
them?
me.
Are they that ate up? I mean, are they that influenced, and are they just scared that well, I'm going to die anyway if I don't do this? Or I don't. I'm just wondering.
It's just pure brainwashing. That's all it is.
Yeah, I think it is. But I was just wanting to hear from her if she, you might have known people that have ended up.
You see, when the society, that's the thing. Like Islam create a very poor and what we call it, like impoverished society. Yeah, impoverished mindset, and also economy. And in order for people to feel special and blessed, okay, they go attend the mosque, and then they listen to the imam, and then every week you go to this routine that if you want to be accepted by God, the highest level you die and sacrifice yourself for this God, and you become a shaheed, and then the cause for that is to conquer and expand Islam in other nations. Or if your enemy comes to you and wants to help you and bring you like American aid, you don't accept it, but you can go and blow up yourself between all of them, and you kill them, and as many you killed, you will be higher level in heaven. And most of this,
that's a real loving religion. Really,
yeah, that's basically it. You see it in Africa with the Boko Haram. You see it, unfortunately, in Hamas, the children. Even there was like some videos came out that even for like a preschool children, they teach them, the first thing they teach them, that you need to be martyr, to be a person that you want to kill the Jew and you hate the Jews. And they teach them this hate since when they cannot even probably talk. So they grow up with this mentality that they have to hate someone because of the suffering that the Islam causing them.
Yeah. Well, I think that they're basically allies of Russia and not the people, the Russian government and the Chinese government. And it's not that they like each other. It's they have a common enemy, and that's us, or the West. I mean,
I think Russia is not
kind of like
really
your enemy. Your enemy's my enemy, so we're gonna,
Yeah. I think Russia is getting beaten by China. China, I always, in something happen, I always look at the silent enemy, and then you can see always the shadow of China behind everything. They're they're so devious, and they're so quiet that most of the time we miss the fact that, you should try what you should try. You should try to create a hashtag down with China in Instagram, and your account will be blocked right away. They are so devious, and they're always behind all these things, and but in a, like, as I said, like a shadow agent. Even for Iran, with all these like playing as a boogeyman, in Middle East, and then trying to conquer this and that, and using their militia. China got them by their balls, basically, because even if our revolution in Iran goes through and the country wants to be rebuilt, the Chinese wrote a contract with this government, the Islamic regime, for decades without even paying upfront and paying minimum for getting resources. They basically destroyed Persian Gulf by cultivating the fish And then they use these huge nets that goes and anchors everything underneath the ground. So all these, like even as environmental aspects, they destroying the natural habitat and then coral reef in Iran, basically. And the local fishermen, they cannot even fish anymore. And there was like a huge riot in Iran because of that. But again, China, it's behind the, I think they're more advanced and more powerful than Russia. Russia tries to be
for sure.
kind of pro-American, a little bit, and they want just to have Ukraine because
Russia's
of their
beating
own.
herself up. They're beating herself up right now.
Yeah, their own ambition. And the other problem is that I think a lot of us, as a Christian, we neglect to see that as bad as Russia is, it's the only Orthodox Christian country between, after Western Europe. So if Russia falls, the Christianity in Europe is basically done.
Yeah,
and
because
that's a big problem.
Most of your countries, your predominant countries, Germany, France, United Kingdom, they have steered so much away from Christianity. I've seen some statistics that majorities are agnostic or atheists, and that's a far cry from what Europe used to be. Europe used to be the most very religious, especially Catholicism. I mean, that's where it came from, and basically, the modern part of it. But now, and I think it's been caused by, and I think that's what's let Islam slip in.
Yeah,
because they'll take advantage of any situation, and also the refugee problem. They sent tons of refugees over there, probably during the Iran-Iraq war, during and
it was right after Syria,
the revolution,
the Syrian war. No, it was really after Syrian war, I would say.
Syrian
Europe
war
got destroyed. Yes,
and they let it happen. See, that's the thing. It's like they let it happen. You don't have to let it happen. Like, I know that I've heard like Sweden, for instance, it has, they have Sharia law where they can't do anything. That's their, you can't come in and, let's say Saline County decided they're going to have Sharia law. Well, that would be a disaster. Well. No, I'm just hypothetically. No, I'll fight against that. But I don't think people
problem is that you see the Islamic, the Muslims, they don't assimilate, especially when they are in a big groups and they create their own colony, basically. If you want to talk about colonization, that's basically, and they will have their own business. They don't pay taxes. They take advantage of what you see in Minnesota, like money, because they see you as a useful idiot.
Exactly.
That's the true reality. They want to take advantage as much as they can because this is the country they didn't build. What's the incentive to pay back to a country that they hate the religion, they hate the people, and they know they're unclean. Basically.
And they're using idiot white people to get their
and
then what they're doing.
And then they create their own little. They start taking over the city council. Then they go up, Then they start, and their kids goes to school, become a lawyer, and they will start changing legislation. That's what's exactly happening especially in Dallas, Texas. I saw it with my own eyes. A private Muslim school. They were like in the same.
Well, Epic City. They're trying to.
They were in the same hotel room, and all these kids, they just popped out for breakfast, and they demanded no bacon and stuff like that. And then, it's just like bacon repellent. And then it was right after October 7. It was like a year after that. And me and my mom, we were so furious because we were so sad by that even. And
because you knew exactly what was going on. I mean, exactly what they're doing. And these stupid, I'm kind of worried. It's not over yet. We got to get a hold on this, and I don't know how you get it.
You will have to do it for your grandchildren. And I told my husband, I said, I swear to God, I will not let my daughters and my granddaughters to bow down to a Muslim.
Absolutely.
Muslim government in America. I'd rather to kill them. Sorry to say that. I'd rather to wipe out my own generation, but not let them to take advantage of my kids,
right.
especially my daughters, because I lived through it, and they savage. You especially men that they grow up because they grow up with no respect for female. I mean, honestly,
Right.
if you're a
That's
female
why rape is
Muslim,
so prevalent, right? Rape is
you
so
have to
prevalent
think
because it
twice.
doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah, because you always second
Well,
hand citizen. You don't have rights. You cannot speak over. You cannot talk loud. You cannot laugh loud, basically. And then you're like a
when I,
sex machine to have a future generation for them.
I was in a bar over there one time, and it was in Bahrain, which is not bad, but they let all kinds of people in Bahrain. I mean, Bahrain's government is not as bad, but they let everybody terrorists in. They poured them all. They hoarded them all. But anyway, this waitress, I don't remember I think she was Indian actually. But anyway, she spills a drink on one of those, uh, you know, he was Arabic, and had all the dress up. Anyway, she tripped and spilled drink. What happens, right? He jumps up and he just slaps the shit out of her.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
That was okay.
I saw a
That
doctor.
was fine.
In COVID, doctor got slapped because he was trying to see like a wife of someone, like the Badoon especially. And it's funny because you're talking about the slapping, like the teaser is still for Ramadan. If you go to YouTube and look at the Ramadan, like a soap that they have make it special for during Ramadan to people to watch. For Arab nations, the teaser will always have a man slapping a woman in the face. Like that's okay, like dramatic scene, like right across her face
it's
to put
funny
her in her place.
The liberals, it's everything that the liberals don't like is what they got, and they're backing them. And I think it's
because they don't have children. Unfortunately, look at the radical liberals. They don't get married. They're lesbian or gay. They don't
some of them that
continue
are
their
married.
own.
They just don't understand. They're fooled by. They just think that we're cruel. We're going over and being cruel. And I know, and Kevin can vouch to this. Okay, American soldiers have done things in other countries that weren't right, but overall, we build things for people. I know this for a fact. This is not a maybe. We do, and to just be destroyed. And I'm not talking about Iran. I'm talking a lot of Muslim countries. Because there's many, many, many Muslim-controlled countries in the world. Just people think of Iraq, Iran. There's Africa. There's tons, but we do some good. You know what? They don't put that on the news. That's not what they want to hear. They want to hear where some soldier killed a woman and a child, whatever reason in a house, But now I remember in the Iraq War, they got to where on our convoys that we had over there, that they would put children on the road to stop the convoy, to ambush the convoy. And
they always use human
start driving. They had to just start going because they couldn't risk, a lot of bad. I mean, that's a bad thing, but it gets ugly. War's ugly, and
that reminds me of a story. So when I was over in Afghanistan, we were trying to fix one of the walls because the ECP was wide open. They could easily just run in there and shoot a RPG straight down into the X-ray machine in the ECP for the walk-ins. So we were actually moving the HESCOs around so that we could, make a little walk-in area that was in and to the side, so it wasn't a straight shot in. And I was out there doing security, directing traffic and all that. And this local woman comes in and says, out of the car, said, "Hey, what are you guys doing? You're in our country. You're blocking our traffic. Why are you stopping us?" I'm like, "Woman, you would normally not even be able to talk to me right now if it wasn't for the fact that we're here."
That's the story I got.
You
You're
okay?
fine.
But yeah, that stuff happens all the time. But you don't hear about that. You just hear about something we did bad over there. Something, we're and we don't go over there and try to. Like I said, we go over there and we go by their rules. I mean,
Exactly.
we honor what they want. They don't want us to wear Christian stuff. We don't wear Christian stuff, or at least in the military. If you go over there on your own, you can do what the hell you want. Take your chances, I guess. But you know, if you want them, I don't know how many times. If you want to see them scream and holler at whoever the CO is of the base or whatever, or through the embassy or something like that, they will slightest little thing you do that seems Western. Oh my goodness! But you know what? The thing that kills me is you'll see McDonald's and you'll see stuff that we got. They love our music. They love our
I love
food.
our
They love all
phones.
that. But keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, there's a guy on the corner selling all these little cheap little AT&T phones out there. So
Yeah. Before we go, we're going to hit on what might be fixing to happen, which we don't know. But if anybody's reading the news, we got a lot of assets, and they don't position those assets for nothing. And I don't think that, Iran. I've heard that what they want the Ayatollah to leave or something like that, or they'll take him somewhere. He's not going to go for that. That's not their way, to give in. If they do, they're going to make it look like they didn't. So, but anyway, I don't see. What's your opinion on what could happen here in the next few days? I know you've been watching it because you actually have family over there. It could be in harm's way.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, and I'm very active in that regard because the whole conflict starts from the massacre that happened in January 8th and 9th, and around the 35 million Iranian, they came out after exiled prince, and also Donald Trump says, come and we support you. They come out and they called for one name. They said, bring our king back. We want our king back because the Iranian people, they know there is nothing that they can get through the Islamic Republic of Iran. It's a dead end. There is no negotiation with Islamic dictatorship that kills people. And after that, I would say 35 million people based on all the numbers that they are out. Over 135 cities and small towns in Iran that I didn't even hear their name before. They came out, people they were walking, and the Iranian regime actually led them to come out to the full extent because the first day they came out, and then the second day they called everybody, called their family members. They say it's safe. There is no pushback from the police. So everybody came out and they shut down the internet, the Islamic regime, and they committed, I would say, Iranian genocide and massacre. They brought military-grade guns, and they start shooting people in the street of Iran. The current number is 50,000 people. They got killed.
Wow.
Around 100,000 they are injured, kidnapped, or they're getting executed. It's a huge number, unfortunately, and there's a lot of videos that it just since the new year, like my husband and my family, they suffering through me, unfortunately, because I'm like just watching these videos and mourning and like going up and down emotionally. But what we accomplished overseas last week, it was February 14, and around 1 million Iranian overseas in Sydney, Australia, in Europe, Munich and other big cities, and also in America, in LA and Washington, DC and Toronto. People went out and they support our king, exiled king, to come back because what he wants to bring a temporary government after the Khamenei leaves, and then people go vote for what they want. If they want monarchy, they can get monarchy. If they want, like secular government, they can get secular government. But the good thing is that this is the only time that Iranian people are getting united under one, I would say, one flag and one leader, which is our exiled Prince Reza Pahlavi, and it's a big responsibility for him, but he is accepting that, to guide people with the help of America and also Israel.
Mm-hmm.
This is the only time in our nation and history that we are actually asking a foreign country and government come and bombard our country, unfortunately, because this government is so bloodthirsty and satanic that will just kill people. They start kidnapping people that they helped the wounded to their home. They did execution style, killed all the people that they were wounded on the street. They stole their bodies. They sold their bodies for 5,000 and above to the families without having kidneys, heart, and other organs removed. So they made money out of the people that they were dying. They removed uteruses from females. They were gang raped to the point that they burned a lot of bodies. And unfortunately, it's just horrible. I cannot even explain to you like how horrible it is. But this is the only, I want to argue, this is the only war that will be profitable for America and for people that they are looking to reduce terrorist Islam and radical Islam um, all over the world. Look at since the Islamic regime came to power 47 years ago, and how Islam and Muslim and radicalism has changed the face of the world, and how much damage it took, how many people they got killed because of the Islamic Republic of Iran militias through IRGC, through Yemen, through all these other countries, Iraq. And if you cut off the snake's head, which would be the not Khamenei itself, all his kids and all the people that they following, they it's still following him through all these days, there would be huge peace and stability in Middle East that will also reduce a lot of problem and funding also even through Qatar, because Iran has the largest natural gas
Mm-hmm.
section on its sides, but because they don't have technology to harvest it, and then when they do that, Qatar would not have that much money to spend on terrorism. That's just one side of it. And then the Iranian people, they're pro-Western, they're pro-Christianity, they're pro-America, they're pro-Israel, which is unheard of in Middle East. Like Afghanis, they're not like that. Iraqis, they're not like that. And they want to change because they suffer through the Islamic Republic of Iran.
For a long time. A long
yeah,
time.
and then you're not going to have radical Muslim immigration anymore because the imams will be unleashed. They cannot just say what they want, then brainwash young people. And that would be less country to be worried about with the huge influence, to Russia and China as well.
Let me ask you this before we go. In your opinion, if they get an adequate supply of nuclear weapons, will they use them?
Oh yeah, definitely. The first target would be Orshalim, the Jewish land, because that's what they believe. They believe they bring chaos.
Well, that
The
would start a
Shia
nuclear war.
The Shia sect believe if they bring enough chaos and sin to this world, their hidden Imam, 12th Imam, will come back to earth. So all this madness is basically that they want this guy to come back, choose 313 of its own kind of like followers that he choose, and then go fight and conquer for Islam. They conquer land, and now everybody become Muslim, and it's happy ending. But in
Yeah, right.
reality,
Yeah.
it's
And
not gonna happen.
there's no middle class in a Muslim country. It's either you're one of the hierarchies that's running the operation, or and I correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I can tell, or you don't have much of anything. I mean, there's not any kind of, like we have a middle class. I mean, they're going to suffer. The lower people are going to suffer. That's what I'm trying to say. And the upper ones, they're
They
going to live like
harvest.
kings.
That's what I said. Like they harvest from impoverishment and sorry, the poor people basically, because they don't have enough time and they don't have enough energy to educate themselves, or even they always have to be worried about feeding themselves. The middle class is their enemy because they think and they always change. That's why Islamic Republic of Iran also didn't care. A lot of Iranian middle class leave the country, and with all the economic and disaster decision that they made, they actually destroy the middle class in Iran, because middle class is always the heart of the society that will change and determine the future of a country.
Well, Sarah,
And
this has been very enlightening. I've
thank you
enjoyed it,
so much.
and I hope people listen to you. And it's coming from someone who knows, been there, and they just got to be aware of what's happening here. It's happened. It started here, and it's moving pretty rapidly, I think. And in Arkansas, say if Texas gets taken over pretty much or somewhat, whatever, it's going to move this way. I mean, not that we have a big problem in Arkansas per se with it right now, but we will if it keeps growing. And New York City, he's controlling everybody by telling them he's going to give them this, give them that. You're going to have free this, free that. Well, that's a way to control people, and get them, they'll listen to anything. If they hear free, I'm in, no matter what it is, I'm in, and so then they capture them. But anyway, this has been really enlightening, and we
You basically
appreciate you
created
coming on. Good to see you again. Maybe we'll have you on again if this thing proceeds and gets squirrely. Maybe we'll talk to you again on this deal. What's happening? And everybody needs to get out and vote. Everybody's got to
yes,
vote.
definitely go vote.
This is the time, yeah.
This
Yep,
is the
make your
time. You
voice
don't
heard.
Whether
want
you're in Saline
Hear
County
that.
or Franklin County or wherever.
go vote red. You don't want blue.
Yes. But it's been great. Appreciate having you. It's been good seeing you.
Thank you so much for having me and giving me this opportunity.
We all fought some battles together back in Saline County when you were here. So
Definitely.
anyway,
I would love to see you all. And
all
good
right.
luck.
And appreciate you coming on.
Please keep Iran in your prayers. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
We will. All right.
Bye.
Saline County is out.